Hey.
Yeah. But did you just introduce yourself real quick?
Hi, I'm Bob Thomas, and I'm shooting pool with Eddie.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Cool. So we've got a record for when you beat your real bad.
All right.
Your break, my break?
Your break.
Shane Van Bonen breaks from over here, right?
That's
so.
where I'm breaking from. I'm trying to work out whether or not it's a good spot.
Yeah.
As I said, I was born in Northwest Ohio in the middle of the last century, so I've been around for a while. And I didn't go to college until later on. Instead, I used my youth to do theater. I played some tournament chess. And eventually, I ended up winning a state tournament to be the champion of the state of Ohio in the reserve section. In any case, I enjoy playing chess, although I don't get much opportunity to anymore. I also enjoy playing pool. I've played world champions, and I held my own back in the day. I don't play as much pool as I used to, but I still enjoy it. I went to college in 1979 and studied psychology. And I got a Bachelor of Science from The Ohio State University. I also have a law degree from that same fine institution. When I studied psychology, I lost all respect for it as a science. And I had to develop my own ideas about how we came to be who we are. What are the causes of behavior? And the series of ideas that I developed all came under the same kind of heading, evolution. We came to be who we are because we evolved to be who we are. And because there was no professor who was thinking along the same lines that I knew, I didn't know any professors who were, I couldn't find any. I decided not to go on and get a graduate degree in psychology, but decided to go to law school instead. But I still maintain an interest in psychology, which means I maintain an interest in evolution. And so I continued my studies of evolution and am currently writing a book on the connection between human evolution and mental disorders, the conditions currently identified as mental disorders. So that's on the back burner. While I was studying evolution, I wanted to know more about how fossils were dated, and radiometrically, that is. So I began to study how that was done. And in pursuit of that goal, I purchased this book, Nucleus, published in 2001. And while I was reading this book, I came across this one little passage having to do with what they call magic numbers. Magic numbers have to do with nuclei that have more stability because of the number of protons and neutrons they have in their nucleus than those that are very close to the number but not quite that number. And the magic number sequence is 2, 8, 20, 28, 50, 82, 126. Well, about, I'd say maybe 5 seconds passed. And it occurred to me that those corresponded with a particular geometric shape. And if the building blocks, if the ultimate building blocks of the nucleus was this particular shape, then it would fit together very well in a way that would make those numbers make perfect sense. So that was in 2001, and I began to check out that idea a few days later just to see if there might be something to it, and it looks like there is. So ever since that day, I've been unraveling physics in my own way, batting it along like a kitten batting along a ball of yarn, unraveling it a piece at a time. And in my system, which I am not perfectly mathematically grounded in yet, I have an explanation for dark energy, for dark matter, for neutrino oscillation, for the double slit experiment, for the structure of particles, for practically everything that people would like to know, the origin of the universe. And I'm in the process of, right now, studying mathematics in order to more firmly ground my theory. My objective is to reconcile Einstein with Heisenberg, because I understand how gravity works, but I need to explain it mathematically. And I also, within my system, can explain the distribution of the electrons in the electron cloud surrounding an atom. And what I'm doing specifically right now is familiarizing myself with the Schrodinger wave equation to try to reconcile my system with it. So I'm dovetailing two systems. That's my objective. And this has been one of the most interesting things I've ever studied, particle physics, that is. Of all the things I've ever done, as I said, I was involved in theater. I've acted in many shows. I've directed shows, had different kinds of shows, and I enjoyed that. But this is more fascinating because it has more of a connection with the structure of what is. So within my system, I can explain why the speed of light is the speed of light. It's interesting that it has varied over time, that at one time it was faster, and that now it is slowing down, that phenomenon is connected up with the phenomena that is currently identified as dark energy, those are directly related, that my theory explains why light exhibits the phenomenon known as polarity. Everybody says light's polarized. Well, what does that mean? I can explain what that means, why it works the way that it does, why neutrinos and photons move at the same speed, the speed of light. So it helps to explain a lot, but it would also be useful to explain that mathematically. And that's what I'm in the process of trying to do. I should say, for those who have a physics bent, it also explains the double slit experiment and spooky accident and distance, which are two of the phenomena that are considered great supports for the Copenhagen interpretation of phenomena that occur on the nano level. So there are other explanations other than ones that have been proffered by what you would think of as the standard model of physics. I think of my model as being nested within physics, that they are concurrent systems, but what has been detected and explained by particle physics, by the standard model of particle physics, are the effects of my system in operation, the system that I have identified in operation. So they're not at odds with one another. One is just an incomplete interpretation of the other. I am also a poet and have published a few poems, and Eddie has agreed that I should probably recite one. So I'm going to recite one of my longer ones that expresses my view of many things in the world, and I think it's useful. So it's called Just Between Us. It's rather long, but it's worth the telling. So here goes. Does it matter in the end if we never ever know what caused the microgyro tempest, the template prime of all we see, the seed primordial to be, whether birth pang of a grand design or product of some mindless cosmic mechanism bumping randomly on the line? If souls are in the balance, as many faiths maintain, the answer clearly matters. But would someone please explain why ultimate truth would be revealed in such a garbled fashion that strife erupts between man and man, even between nation and nation? And if only one faith can be absolute, then what are all the rest? The system of faith becomes multiple choice and puts us to a torturous test. Would a loving God ever put us in the infernal position of going to hell for just guessing wrong in an ambiguous situation? Or is the system of faith something else? Does the answer lie between? One thing that we could do with it is derive a golden mean. So, are we required by family ties or perhaps by birth location to blindly believe whatever we're taught without any reservation? Or might we choose a different path as a sapient sort of being, relying less on what we were taught than on what we are actually seeing? We see the sky, we feel the weather, we know that we are here together, sharing our gift of here and now. With the nature of reality itself in doubt, can we totally commit to any theory of how? Were we forged in furnace dire, like Blake's blazing tiger, or formed by forest canopy? What is this question to you and me? We have the world of soaring words, where ideas take flight like flocks of birds, where bards caress with knights of sable, and authors charm with ancient fable. Mark Twain's Huck Finn and William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar reside on the lettered plane with Charles Dickens' Ebenezer. We have art in simple plaster, on canvas, in bronze and alabaster. Any humble thing can be whatever we want for you and for me. Just imagine, if you can, Rodin or Michelangelo making magic out of lumps of clay in some distant studio. And we have music, so many kinds, to free our spirits and to ease our minds. The legacy of Debussy, Mozart, Dylan, and all the rest. With these, we are truly blessed. Still, is there something beyond that we cannot see? Must we agree on this, you and me? Remember, with all that we learn, few things are certain. There is a beginning and a final curtain. Between, we gather some gems as we roll in the flow. Among these are the truths that we all come to know. We all learn about bad. We all learn about good. We all learn about must, and we all learn about should. The code that we share is the true treasure of civilization. We don't doubt its existence. It's the very foundation, the most common ground where we meet every day with our families and friends and strangers chanced upon along the way. It's the bridge that spans the gap from one person to another, that makes every woman my sister and every man my brother. So, how much does it really matter if, in the end, we're not sure of how we got here, but we are sure of friend? That's it.
Do you have a name for your theory?
I think of it as the Swiss watch theory, the Thomas Swiss watch theory, as opposed to, it's not random. There's a certain amount of probability that's involved in the events that occur, but things have a place and they're in that place. They're there for a reason. They fit together. It's like it is a structure. You can think of atoms, you can think of individual particles as being vessels. They actually have, and I've named them for the parts of a ship, fore, aft. I mean, they are literally vessels that are going through a medium, and their orientation, they are oriented depending on where their structure is on the interior. They move in the direction in which they are pointed, and they are pointed by certain things. So you can't say starboard and larboard, which is left and right, because they spin, and you can't really say. So there is no left and right.
Is there a reason it's a Swiss watch?
I'm sorry?
The reason it's a Swiss watch?
The reason it's a Swiss watch is because within the interior, things are in particular locations.
Oh, no, I was referring to Swiss.
Oh, no. Swiss watches are things that are made precisely, and they're very fixed, right? So it's not random. The point is that it's a fine kind of device, okay? And that is why I call it a Swiss watch, okay? The Thomas Swiss watch system, all right? Or Swiss watch theory, whatever.